Well, we put the front end back together, put new axles in, pulled it out. Something's popping in the front end. So thinking it's a sector shaft or maybe a spider gear or something like that. Don't know anything about the front end of these. So I'm about to pull everything back apart that I just did, putting axles in, drop the diff. While the diff's out, I guess we're gonna go ahead and put a locker in the front too. So it'll be locked in the back and locked in the front, and should make it a lot easier to go places and go from there. And just start trying to pull the diff out and ordering parts, see what we need to get it back going. So, all right, got the skid dropped. Not pulling the skid in almost a year. I mean, it is full of all kinds of crap. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to build something to cover that up. I think since I've lost one of the TRDs, I think I'm gonna pull those off and mask it up and probably repaint the whole thing, because it is beat, and see about fixing the TRD logo. But I've got skid plate off. The diff is disgusting, but I've got everything loose. I gotta take one more bolt out. I gotta pull the axles out. Once I pull the axles out, then unhook the drive shaft and some electrical plugs. Everything should drop right off or right out, and should be good to go. Then we can split it and see what's wrong with it. Removing the front diff and the bolt nut that holds this on fell into the only hole inside the cross member. Like, how is that even possible? All right, we got all the bolts out, all the plugs, all the vent lines. So all I gotta do is get it off the stud in the back and lower it to the ground. I've got my only jack holding the trans up to give me. So I fought trying to get the differential out, pried out, but there is a 12 hex head bolt in the bottom of this differential right there, and I did not know that. I thought after I took the stud off on the top that it would just fall right out. And yes, everything is dirty because the skid plate was up under there. But I did not degrease it before that. decided it would be best to break it loose by hand instead of using the Ugga Dugga. As soon as I turned the camera off, lowered the jack, pushed down on it, pretty much fell right out. So the diff's out. Not the way I wanted it to come out, but it's out. Got the oil plug out, got the diff out. Come on, focus. We got a little bit of metal shavings here. I guess that could be wear and tear, or it could be a heavy foot. But about to drain all this oil out and then see about seeing what all's in this thing. All right, we're ready to split this case and see exactly what's all broke on the inside of this. You're gonna see exactly what I see. Ooh, big chunks of something. Woo! That's wild. Oh, that's got fingers. So, the spider gears have the shaft still got it hooked. Spider gears ripped all the teeth off of them. So the ring gear looks fine. Probably gonna have to put some bearings on it. They feel fine, but definitely tore some stuff up. The bearing on this pinion is toast. Oh, it's about to get even more interesting. Teeth are missing everywhere. Differential arrived today. The box is tore, you know, usually how FedEx ships everything. And we're gonna check it out and see make sure nothing's broken or cracked or anything from bouncing around. But it was cheaper just to go ahead and buy a differential than it was to get a bearing kit and press bearings on and seals and everything else. It was just cheaper just to buy one already together and everything. So that's what we did. We ordered one. We got the locker. I do have to split this to put the locker in, but that won't be no big deal. We'll get that going and throw it in and see how it does after that. start laying parts everywhere. Now that we got that off, I'm going to finish taking out all the bolts out of the side of the case. Take my brass punch and I'm going to separate the case. So I was going to show y'all right here. This is like a CV axle. So it's got a little C-clamp in the middle. So we've got to hit it, knock it down, and then that'll drop out. And then we can pull the carrier out, pull the ring gear off, and go from there. So all we have to do is put a flathead on it, punch it, and that'll drop down. Then we can get the ring gear off, pull the pin out right here to get the contraption, and then pull the spider gears out, and we'll start trying to put the locker together. Setting that on time lapse wasn't even worth it. I should just put it on video. I thought it would take longer than that, but literally just popped it out. So that's probably not going to focus. So right there, you can see how the C-clamp is on it. So literally just hit the top and that pops right out. Now I can pull the ring gear out. I'm gonna lay this inside the differential. Now I can pull this out, lay this over here, and then I can check, pull my ring gear off, and that way I can get to my spider gears. Then we'll start putting the lock on the table because I don't want to get any grit or anything in the bearings. I do plan on spraying them out before I put it back together, but unless I get in, it might be better. So let's see what size these ring bolts are. Now, I'm starting to wonder if it was supposed to come out that way or if it was supposed to come out the other way. Now that's out, I can push the pin out And I'm not too concerned about the gears because I plan on putting all new things in here, so. Rotate it over, pull that one out, pull that one out, go like that. This one's gonna go on the bottom. This one's going to the side. Taking the two crush out. This will be the first book I've ever read. All right, so I went ahead and I did one, so I didn't look like a dummy putting this together. But you take your cup and you take your spring, you put it together, and then you turn it up, put it inside the locker, and then you take the pin, push down, and the pin holds everything together. And the same thing on the other side. So after you get your pins in and everything, this comes in the package like this, but that is wrong. You have to put it in like that so that it would sit in there correctly. So I went ahead and I slid this one in, which this one's gonna go up. So I'm going to put this one in. Locks in place. Go ahead and put this one in. So put that in first. Locks into place. Take this one. All right, flipping the carrier over helped a lot. All right, now that I got this closer, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the pins. Well, said I was till it slid out of place. Because you do not want these to drop down in the hole. So. That's locked in. That's locked in. Everything's tight. If this works pretty good, I'd be a good firm believer in it. The Eaton locker was just way too expensive to be putting in something with this many miles and no more money, and I got tied up into it. It's just crazy to put that much money into that. So this was cheapest way, so we'll see how it works. And we gotta get the spacer up in here. So we get it up. I'll hold it with my right hand. We've got to put this hole on this side where the locking pin goes. So just like that, and then we can get the locking pin. I have to push that down in place. We got the pin in place. We're going to get a hammer and knock that in place, and then after that we'll take a flathead or a pry bar and we'll knock that in and lock it in place.
It's shaking out bad. Let's put some force on it, so I might take it to the floor and go from there.
All right, I was able to get the ring gear on. Had torque to 71 foot-pounds. This was the one that we punched out of the center of the spider gears. We just popped it back in with a rubber hammer. And then now we got a gasket made. We're about to put the gears and everything in here, tap it together, start bolting it together, and then put the actuator back on. All right, we got the locker installed. We're about to put the diff in, but I keep losing rack and pinion bushings. So this bolt that holds the rack on, the nut is loose in here. So I can't tighten this. I can loosen the bolt by holding this, but I can't get the bolt off to get this off to put a bushing in it correctly. So I'm going to take the welder and I'm going to get right there and try to tack that the best I can in both places. Try to get one on this side and one on this side, and then that will hold the actual stud in place, and then I can hopefully back this out, put the new bushing in, and then that will take care of the clunking sound I got in the front end, and then go from there. So I need to do that before I get the diff in, and diff should be out of the way, but I want to try to do that before I put the diff in, so we can take care, try to eliminate one issue. All right, I was able to get in there and tack it. Looks horrible, but about the only thing I knew to do. Got the bolt, the nut pretty loose, so we'll be able to take this off and loosen the top and put a new bushing in there. So that's what I needed. I'm gonna put it back on and try to put another tack in it so I can keep this tight and don't have to worry about losing it. So we'll go from there.